What's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if you are Sean Diddy Combs, we are still in all your business. You guys, if you don't know, the jury has been in a hot seat. Why? Because they've been looking a little strange. Listen, people can say what they want. Yes, Mia is a victim. Yes, I do find her credible. And yes, Mia gave absolutely horrible testimony that literally chipped away at the prosecution's credibility. And in this, credibility is the name of the game. However, do not despair because Diddy is still going down because, baby, there is something called jury instructions. We're going to get into the same jury instructions that are most likely going to be in front of the jury, okay? It's the same exact jury instructions. We're going to get into them. We're going to break it down. Baby, we are going to take the testimony that happened, mix it with some legal jargon, make a whole inventory of everybody that's testified so far and break it all the way down. Baby, y'all wanted a legal recap? We are doing it. Every day we will be doing a daily recap. Probably it'll be earlier, but I wanted to keep my word. Yes, we still will be reading super chats, but let's get into it. First of all, Antoine and Antigone Hart said, dinner on me. Thank you, Antigone Hart. I'm going to order DoorDash now. You said, keep up the amazing reporting and thank you for keeping us informed. You welcome. All right, you guys, let's get into this because I know I had you guys waiting. Let's get into what jury instructions are. Now, before we do that, we need to do a rundown. Okay? First of all, the jury cannot just go in the room and convict off of vibes. Now, hear me out. If there wasn't that much evidence, if it was only people's word of mouth, they could. But I have been in the courtroom every day, and I'm not talking about the overflow room. I've actually been in the courtroom with my eyes and ears watching the jury. It is a problem that Mia, the prosecution lost the jury with Mia, but only for Mia's testimony. There's still a bunch of strong testimony out there. And again, if you have 12 people that testified and all 12 of them were strong and one of them fumbled, that is not reason for the jury to throw out all that other evidence. Was it an embarrassment? Yes. Was it something we wish we could have avoided? Absolutely. But that is the way it goes in trials, okay? Tracy Bodie, thank you so much for joining the Tattletales family. Laura Smith said, oh, thank you. You're doing an amazing job. I totally get why women don't come forward after today. Listen, when I say what Brian Still was doing, it was very effective. He's too good. But when I say it turned my stomach, when I say it was disgusting, it was disgusting. House of Wild said, this is... It's this June Gemini's birthday. What's up? And shout out to House of Wild and the June Geminis. Y'all are demons on earth, but some of my favorites. So get this. I want to do this precursor as we get into the jury's instructions, right? All right. If the jury chooses to ignore all the credible facts, because you need airtight jury instructions, but you also need evidence that points directly to it. The prosecution's job is to say, here's A, there's B, you know what comes next, C, A, B, C. That's the prosecution's job to draw the arrows, right? Now get this. What if the jury acts biased and ignores the strong evidence? What if the jury uses Mia's testimony as an excuse to say, we don't believe Cassie, we don't believe Kid Cudi, we don't believe Capricorn Clark, we don't believe the security people? Oh yeah, also Eddie Garcia is set to testify tomorrow. Right? Bona, I believe, is going to come sometime this week, and Jane's going to come sometime this week. However, Jane is the other victim, okay? The thing of the matter is, there's so much strong testimony that the defense has not been able to disqualify, okay? If the jury ignored all that strong testimony, the jury will be acting biased to ignore the strong evidence, right? Now, the prosecution can't interfere unless there's clear misconduct. Jurors talking about the trial among themselves, talking about the evidence among themselves, talking about the testimony until it's time to go into deliberation. Jurors are not allowed to do that. Surfing social media, getting involved, there's lots of reasons, right? But what can be done after the verdict. And let's just get into plain like worst case scenario, right? What can be done if they actually come back with a non if Diddy's convicted? Well, his lawyers, after they threatened 18 times, they're going to appeal immediately. On appeal, it is said they might argue that the jury ignored critical evidence, that the jury was biased and didn't follow instructions, and the instructions themselves were flawed. Now, the jury instructions, I don't think they're going to have that argument because most lawyers actually help write, or not help write, but they make suggestions. Sorry, for the jury instructions, right? But get this, when it comes to defense trying to get things overturned on the appeals court, okay, that they very rarely overturn verdicts based on the jury didn't do what we didn't want to do, okay? The appeals court always defers to the jury unless there was a clear legal error or misconduct, right? Now, if Diddy is acquitted, it's game over, right? If he is acquitted, it is game over, which means they cannot do it with double jeopardy. But, okay, the jury cannot actually discard solid evidence. Let me just give you guys a quick rundown and then we'll get into the jury instructions, all right? So, what counts as a solid reason to disbelieve witnesses? This is the key. And this is why Mia was so damaging. And again, I don't mean to come down on Mia. She was very, very brave for showing up and for testifying, but she had stayed home or at least kept the tidbit out about Sean Diddy Combs raping her. That was so unnecessary. Her testimony was so strong, but I think she just wanted to like share her story and finally get that shame off of her. Anyway, right? This is the key, right? It doesn't have to be, say there's 12 witnesses. To be considered solid reason to disbelieve witnesses, it doesn't have to be a 12 out of 12 witnesses. If the jury finds just one witness unconvincing, and that's why everybody's worried about Mia, and that, but here's the thing. So they did, listen, they found Mia unconvincing. It is what it is, right? Everything's not going to be a home run. They 100% found Mia unconvincing. If y'all thought what they did to Dawn was bad, the jury lost them with Mia, right? However, that witness must be crucial to proving a charge. Now, if they find a witness and if they found Mia crucial to proving a charge, then they absolutely could throw out. However, nobody finds Mia crucial to the charge. Again, Mia was just cooperating. Mia was not a, was Mia a victim? Was Mia? I know she was victim number 4, but I think that was forced labor and the RICO, not for grape. But the fact that they don't believe anything Mia said, it is what it is. Cassandra Hicks said, oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Cassandra, for that super chat. Let me just get into this. House a Wild said, you just put the biggest smile on my face because you ain't wrong. Exactly. Gemini, rooted in sentiment by John Tell said, Tisa is the ghost, greatest journalist of all time. Oh, thank y'all. Also designed by Phoebe said, Tisa, we all need to pray for victims, especially Mia. Mia is going to be all right. But at the end of the day, I am trying to win this trial too. I don't understand why the prosecution didn't prep her better or why they put such a fragile witness on the stand. It was weird. Melissa Buddha said, do you think KK will testify against Diddy? Thank you so much for your amazing updates. Now, that's the funny thing, Melissa. I gotta be honest with you. After Mia's testimony, I don't know. I'm just joking. I do actually think that KK is actually going to testify against Diddy. Okay, right? Well, this is true. Mia had a lot to tell. She was just so timid. The cross just destroyed her confidence. Now, I'll be honest with you. A lot of pro Diddy people in the court, and when I say pro Diddy, they're kind of skeptical of the prosecution's case. They're a hard case to think. They actually feel that, like, because I was like, yo, I feel like Mia was very timid. I feel like this, I feel like that. And they were like, okay, yeah. Or Mia was lying and the defense ripped her apart. And hear me out. I said, I thought about it, right? I thought about it. I said, or Mia was lying. Because they're looking at me like I'm naive because Mia was lying, her thing got ripped apart. But you know what makes me think that Mia was actually telling the truth? Because liars actually practice. Liars have their lines down. Liars are like and seen. They don't care about their ego. They don't care about their pride. They don't care about anything. They have it down. I truly believe that if Mia was lying and she had a fake story, she actually would have given us a better story. Instead of saying, did he grape me, but I never forcefully told him no, she would have said, yes, I ran in the street screaming, no. She would have had a better backstory. So the fact that Mia was so unprepared, the fact that Mia was so caught off guard, in the world I know, the liars are the most prepared people. So I think it's actually very naive for those people to believe. Don't get me wrong, Brian still is good at what he does, but I think it's naive to think that Brian still is Maclock and literally ripped apart someone's story that had a whole 2 years to work on this quote unquote lie. Do you see what I'm saying? Mia's very smart. She's smart. They scored a GPA at 3.6 in college. How do we know? Because Brian still literally pulled up her resume. She wrote when she was 20 saying, didn't you say you wanted to work long hours? Didn't you say you loved being 24/7? Brian, yeah, within the bounds of the law, right? But again, I think the people saying that I'm naive, thinking, oh, it's so obvious she lied. What do y'all know liars? Because a liar would have been more prepared. The way Mia crumbled, it was timid. It was answering. She got nervous. She got flustered. And Mia's one of those people that is not good at articulating herself on the fly. Everybody's not like that. It's like we all go out and I'm in charge of literally planning the itinerary of the whole day. One, if I do plan, baby, that means I've been planning for 3 weeks for us to whatever, because I don't plan. You put me in charge of the itinerary, baby, we showing up. Did you get reservations? For what? Let's just walk up. They'll feed us. I don't plan anything. Does that make it good or bad? No, I'm just not a planner, but I can think off the cuff. Mia must be a planner, but she's not that quick with thinking off the cuff. And on top of that, you are on the stand. You are telling things that humiliate you. You are telling your darkest secrets. Again, everybody's saying Mia's lying. Shut up. If she was lying, she would have done a better job. Anyway, right? And also, Diddy is a stone cold narc. Narcs groom people for this. The fact that Mia doesn't think well under pressure. She carries the shame. She thinks everything's her fault. And you take somebody like Diddy that at one time is being the monster, but the other time he protects her from all the other monsters. Like, come on. I'm just saying, right? Anyway, let's get into this, all right? Do I think Diddy will be pardoned? I know 50 Cent is trying his best to make sure he doesn't get pardoned. He's even playing stuff about the way if Trump wins, there's going to be a race war and all this other stuff. I mean, maybe, but it ain't going to be with black people. I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be white on white crime. I don't know. Anyway, Tequila Edwards, thank you so much. Said thank you for all that you do with keeping us informed. Oh, you're greatly appreciated. Thank you. Also, Rox Falk said, did I just read Tequila again? Rox Falk said the prosecution did not prepare Mia. That's their fault. But hear me out, right? Maybe, but it's hard to prepare somebody that is not quick. And I'm not saying, hear me out. I'm not saying that oh, she's less than intelligent. No, I mean there are some people that like me. I think while I talk, I process my thoughts audibly. Of course, y'all know I'm a big expert. I'm a yapper. I'm an extrovert. But there are people that they process their thoughts first and then they speak. I know you're like, Tisa, ain't never been you, right? Sometimes y'all be sitting there. KK is Diddy's assistant, Christina Calm. Y'all be sitting there like, did she even, It's like when I first started, people are like, Tisa, you're so talented, but you need to think before you speak. And I was like, shut the F up. How about that? That's the first thought that popped into my head. But you have to go with what you want. My question is, why did they put Mia on the stand? I didn't think they needed Mia. I didn't think they needed Mia. Anyway, Island, thank you so much for joining the Tattletale fam. And who's last? Oh, Ash Bassett, thank you for being a member for 5 months. You said, thank you for your unfiltered opinions and insights. I'm pretty sure my little one in the womb recognizes your voice these days. Oh, Ash Bash, we wish you a healthy, happy pregnancy and just your motherhood journey. Congratulations, Mama. Life is a beautiful thing. Andre, and you're creating it. Andre Elam, thank you so much. You guys wish, what do you do? A happy baby? What? Listen, wish protective, healthy, loving energy to Ash. Okay. Okay, so let's get into this. Also, Nicola said, do you think the woman that is testifying from overseas is the madam that Diddy set up for sex trafficking charge? Yo, I didn't even think that far. I didn't even think that far. Also, P said, hey, T said, KK and D-Rock is going to shut it down. Diddy done. I don't think that D-Rock has flipped on Diddy. I really don't. Not judging by that picture that they're using of D-Rock where he looks all greasy. Also, you know that surprise witness. Thank you, Tattletales. Hold on, let me sit. You know that surprise witness that they bought in that got immunity? His name is Eddie Garcia. I thought it was Andy Garcia, like the actor. His name is Eddie Garcia. He is the one that sold the tape to CNN. And Diddy's team is doing everything they can to strike everything, get it thrown out, playing dirty. But the prosecution, and I know after today, the prosecution is out for blood. Listen, they're out for blood. Okay. Listen. Again. Oh my God. Lindsay Allo said, do you know what Cassie named her son? No. Even though I'm sure it's a beautiful name. I think it's a very unique name, but I do not know what Cassie named her son. So let's get back into the jury stuff, right? And if I did know, I couldn't tell you guys. That is for Cassie to reveal. Her voice and power has been taken away for so long. I will not be the person to try to throw something in the ring to take away her voice and power even more. Like, no, that is her moment, right? So get this, right? In order for Mia's testimony, now don't get me wrong, she did chip away at the prosecution's credibility. However, in order for her testimony to really blow the whole case, it did not, right? Because it would have to be crucial. Her testimony was not crucial, it was actually supportive, right? However, if the 11 other witnesses plus physical evidence, they have the video, they have hotel logs, they have call logs, they have the testimony from the escorts, they have freak off tapes, they have 3 freak off tapes. And all if the call logs, the hotel logs, the physical evidence and videos line up with the prosecutor's story, the jury needs a logically sound, legally defensible reason to say, we're not sure. Otherwise, their decision could look like nullification. And that's when a jury refuses to convict for personal, political, or emotional reasons. Now, this is how prosecutors are going to be going crazy the next 3 weeks trying to protect against any type of nullification. The pattern points to the person. They will build a narrative web. They've already done this. I did it live Saturday showing how they proved their case. If one witness stumbles, like Mia stumbled, right? The pattern still stands. And let me just say this. Yes, Mia was brave for testifying. Yes, Mia is a warrior. Yes, but I am talking about whether we are going to win this or not. You are not getting participation awards. I have so much respect and honor for what Mia did. That said, we are not doing participation awards. We are trying to win. Anyway, right? Let me get into, hold on. Cherry said, I do not think Diddy will be pardoned. I hope that it's just a spoof. That's crazy. Loving the tea from UT said, thank you so much, Cherry. I know if Diddy's going to be pardoned, but 50 Cent is doing his best to make sure he doesn't get pardoned, right? I think, listen, anyway, let's get into this, right? They're also going to do, so first they're going to do pattern person. The prosecution has already been building a narrative web, okay? So even though Mia stumbled, the pattern still stands, okay? The pattern still stands. Also, wait, Ono Dakini, thank you so much for the super chat. And oh no, did I meet you today? And also, Spherical Ways said, hey, Tisa, do you think Diddy will testify? Diddy will 100% absolutely testify. 100% he'll absolutely testify. One, I mean, if you losing, what else you got to lose? Two, Diddy thinks he got the heart, minds, and soul of a nation. And he thinks if he can get on that stand, he can make everybody feel bad for him. Anyway, so they already connected the pattern to the person, okay? The pattern still stands. Kid Cudi, Carrie, Capricorn Clark, Dawn Richards, the hotel security, the Cassie, it all stands. Cooperation. Do the call logs match up to the prosecution's story? Do the hotel receipts match up to the prosecutor's story? Do the text messages match up to the prosecution's story? Again, has the hotel staff confirmed it? Yes. That insulates the case from a jury throwing out Mia's testimony and then trying to say, oh, we'll forget about it, the whole case. Think about it. A lot of people keep wondering why the prosecution brings in hotel people to explain the records. So you have flight logs, right, showing that escorts were flown in. You have hotel logs showing that Cassie and Diddy checked in, right? You have text messages telling the escort to meet you in the room. And then just so you can't say that you were on Bible study, there's even a log of the extra cleaning they had to do. 500 or 1,000 for baby oil stained carpets, baby oil stained draperies. This is what the hotel people talked about. Okay, there were actually cleaning fees, and they put on Diddy's account. They put the reason for charging them for extra cleaning. I know an Airbnb hates to see Diddy coming. Again, they have tied all that. That is all corroborating evidence. And get this, they need airtight jury instructions. The judge explains how to weigh credibility, how to evaluate circumstantial evidence, and what reasonable doubt really means. Okay, listen, we have to be honest. Juries are powerful. They can believe or disbelieve almost anyone. But the prosecutors, ICE is doubling its budgets for confidential informants. Okay, right? But prosecutors fortified the case by making it not about just Mia, but about a pattern of behavior backed by evidence. Now, listen, Brian still had Mia being like, could you repeat the question? But one thing Brian still messed up with was literally trying to convince us that the violence didn't happen. And Mia was lying about that. Brian, stop. You're doing a little bit too much, right? Prosecutors will fortify their case by making it not about just Mia, but about the pattern behavior backed by evidence. However, if the jury chooses to disregard all of that, they better have a clean, logical explanation, or the case becomes a textbook example of jury nullification or bias. All right, so let's get into some of these handy dandy jury instructions. Let's put up small Tisa. There we go. Now, right? These are, hold on really quick. We're going to run through this really quick. I promise. I'm not going to hold y'all too long, but I do gotta try to hold y'all. Breaking down the testimony. Did Diddy benefit from the Smex Act? Was anybody coerced, threatened, or deceived? Did he benefit? Yes. How do we know that? Because he was standing literally booty butt naked in a burqa, diddling with it, right? Yes, he 100% benefited from that act. Unfortunately, right? Um, wait, where are we at? Am I in the right thing? Wait, hold on. Did hold on. Am I in the right page? Hmm. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Just hold on. I'm coming on. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Why isn't this checklist playing? Why don't y'all see the checklist? This is so weird. Mm, yes, no. This is really bothering me. This is bothering me. Hold on, I'm trying to fix this. Hmm. And it's not working. Anyway, I'm gonna have to read this because I don't know how to get this slide up. Okay. Was the victim coerced? Yes, I did this in the live, threatened or deceived. They got all three. This is from coercion, threatening of the blackmailing, threatening to get your parents fired, threatening that if you don't come and bring me Cassie, I'm going to beat you up or bang you or throw you in the Hudson River. Were you deceived? Yes, making her believe that he would move forward with her recording career. Was there force and manipulation tactics? We already know that. Did testimony show a pattern over time? They're not even halfway through and they've already proven that. And did the crime serve a broader enterprise or brand protection? We know the answer to that. If yes, the government has met their burden. Okay. Now, at the end of the trial, the judge gives, I wish these instructions were right there. Where is this? Hold on, y'all. Let me see. Are there other? Mm, this is so weird. So weird. Anyway, I don't know why. Yes, this is going to keep bothering me. I don't know why I can't get the scroll to move. But anyway, all right. What the jury has to decide at the end of the trial, the judge gives a jury specific instructions. This is the legal definition of sex trafficking, right? This is what counts as force, fraud, or coercion. You must decide the case based only on the evidence and this law. They are not allowed to base the verdict on emotion, bias, or speculation. They must go charge by charge and apply the facts to the law provided. If the government proved even one act beyond a reasonable doubt, it counts. They do not need multiple victims or physical proof, just credible evidence. So, final checklist. What must they consider? Okay. However, uh, the sample jury instructions. This is sample jury instructions because it's not showing up on the screen, but I'm going to have to read. To convict the defendant of sex trafficking, the jury must find 1. The defendant knowingly recruited, transported, or obtained a person. Now, the defendant knowingly recruited, he said that he had Cassie up. Oh, sorry. He said that he had Cassie up in there recruiting, looking through magazines, trying to find people that could do freak offs. So you definitely recruited. You transport it. Where is the proof that the government has already shown that it was transported? Well, that's very, very simple. Don't you know? The jury instructions are a different screen. I don't know what's going on. It's not showing up. Y'all just gonna have to listen to me read out loud like a bedtime story. Okay, right? So the jury knowingly recruited. We already know that Cassie has testified that she recruited the SMEX worker. The SMEX workers have already testified that they were recruited by Cassie. Okay. Now they can argue that Cassie operated on her own, but we know that's not true. They transport it. The government has already given flight logs and hotel logs and text messages proving that when Cassie texted the SMEX workers, they would fly them in from New York down to Miami. They would fly them from Miami to LA. They would fly in their favorite people. They transported SMEX workers or obtained a person. They did that too, right? And the person was caused to engage in a commercial SMEX act. Now, one of the things the prosecution has already proven through the testimony of the SMEX workers, remember, you only need one person, one count. Cassie is one person, even though there is Jane, who is going to be the second count. But the person also was caused to engage in commercial SMEX acts. How was Cassie caused to engage in a commercial SMEX acts? Because being engaged in a commercial SMEX acts is this: I pay an escort, right, to have blank with Cassie. So I give the escort money to have blank with Cassie, and then Cassie, right, has blank with them, and I get something of value from watching Cassie and the Smex worker have Smex. What did he get? I don't know, his burqa fantasies. Anyway, right? And the act was induced by force, fraud, or coercion. Okay? Where's the force? Well, did he threatening to blackmail Cassie? Did he chasing Cassie down the hall on video and dragging her back to a freak off? Diddy telling Cassie that if she did not do everything he wanted, which included the freak off, he would blackmail her and tell her parents and show them the Smex tapes, right? The fraud. Did he promise Cassie that he would put music out? He gave her saying, oh, we'll do this show, we'll do that. But as soon as he got mad or she wouldn't do the freak offs, he pulled it out. Coercion. What is coercion? That is also could be force, but the coercion is saying if you don't do A, I'm going to do B, and you're not going to like B. That is coercion, okay? And the defendant acted knowingly or in reckless disregards of this fact. They've also proven that too. Diddy, for God's sakes, looks like he extorted Cassie's mom for 20K and then sent that back. The jury is instructed to disregard personal feelings and judge only on the evidence. The verdict must be unanimous and based on proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, these are simple instructions. Let's not forget that the prosecution and the defense are going to submit sample instructions to the judge that they would like to be included, because if you can get good instructions, it can kind of tip everything, you know? But let's keep going. Now, one thing I do want to say really quick, a lot of people don't think that this could equal life in prison for Diddy, but I just want to say this, right? Why this could equal life in prison, okay? When you combine sex trafficking and forced labor, which honestly, I think Mia might have been the forced labor. No. Assistant is going to testify to forced labor. So it's not Mia. Wait, Mia is victim number 4. I think Mia is the forced labor. I don't think they'll be able to prove the forced labor charge because Mia's testimony, it didn't land with the jury, right? Under RICO, the sentence can escalate to life in federal prison. Here's why. Both sex trafficking and forced labor are punishable by up to life in prison. Under RICO, sentencing reflects the most serious predicate act proven. Now, with Diddy, there is sex trafficking. There's forced labor. I don't think they're going to get him on the forced labor charge if all they have is Mia's testimony. However, there's kidnapping, there's arson, there is bribery. Diddy got a lot of stuff doing, a lot of stuff going, right? So under RICO, sentencing reflects the most serious predicate act proven. Predicate acts are the underlying criminal act, okay? Multiple victims and a long-term enterprise allegations increase severity of sentencing. Federal judges often impose consecutive sentences, okay? There's consecutive is when you serve them back to back to back, right? For crimes involving violence, coercion, or psychological control. Now, one thing we can say about Mia's testimony, I think it proved Diddy's psychological control. There's a pattern across multiple victims. Obstruction, he's in jail for that. Bribery, yes. What is the bribery proving? That it's also a predicate act for the RICO. The bribery was of the hotel person, Eddie Garcia, who got paid, I think, $50,000 or $100,000 for that video. The bribery, right? Arson, kidnapping, or retaliation are part of the case, okay? My best guess, if convicted on all counts, Diddy is realistically facing life in prison. And that's without Mia's testimony. Again, Diddy doesn't, sorry, again, Diddy doesn't want to admit the obvious, and Brian still can sit there and confuse Mia all he wants. But at the end of the day is going to end for Diddy. At the end of the day is 100% going to end for Diddy. Again, you guys, we got to call a spade a spade. Was Mia's testimony the strongest? Absolutely not, right? Alejandro, Andra, Aranda, people, thank you so much for the super chat. Also, Miss B said, beauty and brains. Oh, thank you for your consistent dedication. You're welcome. Hold on really quick. Listen, the Fed still got Diddy. It wasn't the strongest thing, but it lets us know that even though it's still early, a lot can change. I do wish Dr. Hughes had testified after Mia, but I think that the prosecution actually thought that Mia was going to be a stronger witness than she was. And again, hear me when I say this. I think Mia was telling the truth. I do not think Mia was lying. I think if Mia was lying, her testimony would have been stronger. I think she fell apart on the stands. I think she was very brave for what she did. And you know what? She did more than like half the people that are talking about the rah-rah did. So I don't mean to marginalize or disrespect Mia and her contribution at all. However, I'm trying to win this case. So I am giving you guys a real view into what I think the prosecution's perspective is and where they're going to go next, right? Agnes Hall said, thank you for all your hard work. Thank you, Agnes. I very, very much appreciate it. Anyway, you guys, listen. This is the daily recap. I'm going to start doing them earlier every single day. Okay. I'm going to start doing them earlier every single day, but I just want to hop on here and let y'all know what I think. Listen, we are going to do the daily recap tomorrow. I might even let y'all call in, right? As long as there's not any Diddy trolls in there. But at the end of the day, make sure you turn your notifications on. I do a live outside the courthouse every morning. I do a few during the afternoon. And then, of course, I do one after the courthouse. Okay. Anyway, y'all, please let me know what you think in the comments. I will talk to y'all later. Okay. Bye, everybody.